Awesome. All right. Well, welcome everyone to the AI powered pre-sales summit. It is our first summit of 2025. If you don't know me yet, my name is Courtney Flickwer. I'm the Senior Community and Events Manager here for Presales Collective, and we are so excited to have you all here with us today. It's going to be a day of insights, strategies, networking, connecting, a few housekeeping items before we get started. We want you to blow up that chat. Engage, connect with each other. But if you have questions, please use the Q&A feature of your Zoom window. We have about 10 minutes at the end of each session for our panelists to take questions, and that's where they know to look for questions. So please put any questions for your panelists in there. If you need anything, any help, have any questions, not necessarily for the panelists, you can find me on Slack or select hosts and panelists on your Zoom chat, and it will notify us that you're trying to get a hold of us for any reason. With that being said, I'm so excited to start this day, this summit. We have a jam-packed 4 sessions for you. Thank you again for all of you being here. I'm going to pass it off to Jack Cochran, our general manager.
Thanks, Courtney. I'm very excited for this event. I don't know if anyone else notices this, or if you looked back at the page where you signed up, we have over 1,500 people who have registered for the event, which explains why it's been so crazy with everyone typing where they're joining from. I'm very excited for this. Before we get into anything else, I do want to give a quick thank you to our partner, Reprise, for sponsoring today's summit. We couldn't do this without our fantastic partners, so thank you so much. Applause everyone in the chat, if you don't mind, for Reprise for allowing us to host and have this entire half day for you. But this clearly is the topic everyone has been asking about. That's why you're all here. The intersection of AI and pre-sales. And specifically, we wanted to take a little bit of a different approach than the typical how to build your prompt or use AI to summarize your meetings that I've seen enough of myself. I see that every day. I see it all over LinkedIn, how to use kind of some basic general things with an AI. We're going to be exploring our profession, our craft, the thing we do in pre-sales, and how AI is intersecting that specifically. We're starting off with developing AI literacy out of the gate. So how do you do just that? How do you go deeper than just Chat GPT? After that, we're going to explore the current rise of the AI agent, the AI assistant, and again, how it impacts us in pre-sales specifically. Then right after that, we're going to do some networking, which is everyone's favorite part of the day, where we get breakout rooms, meet other people, and hopefully make some new friends or people you want to connect with as peers. And then after that, something I'm really excited for, a special treat. We're doing a live recording of the pre-sales podcast right here during the summit. We're going to be talking all about various intersections of AI within that, so stay tuned. And we're going to end our summit by talking about future-proofing your pre-sales teams with AI. And as for you, your part in this is just hop in the chat, give the panel feedback, ask the Q&A questions, be engaged. We can't really do this without you. But that's enough of me talking for now. I'll be back in session 3. But for now, I want to introduce our panel from the first session on developing AI literacy. We're very excited to kick this off. Please join me in welcoming our wonderful panelists for this first session. First, our host, Darlene Volas, is Head of Global Field Engineering at Firebolt. We also have Chris Mabry, VP of Solutions and Partnerships at Reprise. Thanks again to Reprise. Maher Salhani, Senior Solutions Consultant and Gen AI Now Assist Champion at ServiceNow. And Paul Vogt, VP, Head of Pre-Sales and Professional Services at GBG. With that, I'll hand it over to you, Darlene, to kick us off.
Fantastic. Hello, everyone. Super excited to be here today, especially with this particular topic, because right now, everyone is talking about Gen AI. And our topic today is developing AI literacy. And even with this one specific topic in AI, there's a lot to unpack. In our prep sessions, we went in tons of different directions. For example, how do you understand the fundamentals of AI? So LLMs, prompt engineering, RAG, agentic models, vector databases, vector similarity search. How do you pull all that together? What do you focus your energy on? How do you speak to the AI story of your solutions and products? Every company is building an AI story and needing to support that in our day-to-day. And then the other side of it is, how do I use Gen AI to become a better SE? You know, we've got these tools at our disposal, and they definitely go beyond, well beyond just summarizing emails or writing emails, but like that is helpful too. So there's so many options for how to make us better. And then as leadership teams and as we're organizing teams, how do we make our teams more efficient? How do we use this to give them back time that matters? We're going to talk about all these things today, and I'm really excited about our amazing panel. And I believe we have a poll before we get started, and hopefully, Courtney, you're going to help me with that poll. But I wanted to get a quick sense of the audience and how much do we use Gen AI in our day-to-day lives right now? Like almost never? Are we using it every day, many, many times a day? Somewhere in between there. Super curious. So if that poll doesn't pop up, please put it in the chat because we're very curious to know like how much people are using Gen AI as it goes down. And looks like everybody's saying daily, which is perfect. That's exactly what we wanted to hear. That's fantastic. So let's jump into the questions. And the first thing we're going to talk through is sort of that first one about learning AI basics, which is for pre-sales professionals who want to build their AI knowledge, where should they start? And what skills will be valuable in the next 2 to 3 years? So I'd love to hear from you. Paul, I'm going to start with you and turn it right over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for letting me go first here. And good morning, good evening, or good night to everybody that's joining us from around the world. I think what really helped me start my AI journey was just finding a project that is meaningful or was interesting to me. I don't think it has to be tied to your job. I actually developed a side project that my wife and I had been discussing. But it's just important to find something meaningful. And because we're all engineers here, we learn by building for the most part. So get into it, start playing with it, and learn from others that are already doing it. Somebody named Briley Brown on Twitter and YouTube was really helpful in getting my journey rolling. He does a great job of pulling in other YouTubers. And then also I found a couple of the large technology companies that have free AI courses that are out there that are mostly focused on their products, but help also teach the basics. So MongoDB, some of their courses was incredible in helping me understand how everything works together and how to leverage it.
Awesome. Maher, I know you have a bunch of things to add to that, so I'm going to pass it over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Darlene, thank you again for having me. I'll jump right in here and say one of the best things you can do is start to download some of these. Obviously everybody has ChatGPT, but Perplexity, Claude, Gemini, and start to play around with them. And basically what I did is tried to see which one fits my lifestyle, what I need on a day-to-day. And then I just stuck to one for the most part. Not that I don't use the other ones. I continually use the other ones, but I specifically use ChatGPT for myself because I'm building on that. I'm sharing documents with it. It knows my style. It knows what I'm asking, what I care about. So that's one thing I will say. Another thing for the younger generation, I'd say get yourself a TikTok account. I know there's a lot of, doom scrolling out there, but if you start to focus following some of these TikTokers that are, giving you some incredible practical things you can do with AI on a day-to-day and how you can, push the boundaries of what these things can do. It's incredible. It's very innovative what they're doing. So what I'll go ahead and do, I'm going to share a few here in the chat. I'll do that as I'm talking here, but I'll share that, and these are some people that I follow. Now, one of the things I will say is think about Gen AI. Think about the money that's being spent right now. There are trillions of dollars being spent on AI and building these things. It's not just to write your email. It is taking over the world. So I would say if you're not using it, I need you to start using it because, eventually the AI is the brain and the robots are being built and they're going to put those together. Where are we going to be in the next phase of this revolution? So you need to jump in and attach yourself somewhere along the journey.
Fantastic. Thanks, Maher. Chris, love to hear from you.
Yeah, I love that energy, guys. Hi, all. Thank you so much for having me. I love these sessions. My advice is to do something a little different, and I guess that's what we're all here for. Do something, leverage AI that is built into a tool that makes a difference in your business. Let me unpack that real quick. We all have access to software, and software is expensive, and our company spends money on software to help us be efficient and help us get things done and grow the business. You take AI, a portion of it in one of those pieces of software that is going to make an impact on the business, start using it yourself. Don't wait for anybody to tell you to use it. You have access already. Start using it, start logging it. If it's gong, take the recordings and the snippets and start putting it in your notes. Use it to make a difference in the business. Tell your manager you're using it. And that way you can just use it on the job. I love side projects. I'm a father of two and a busy guy. So I often don't have too much time for side projects. I just use it in how to impact my business today.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thanks, all three of you. I would say to add to that, it kind of summarizes a lot of the things we just heard, but just jump in. Don't wait. Don't be scared. Just jump in. I'd say the thing that I have noticed the most about this AI wave is that we're really at the beginning of it. We haven't figured out like what is the common stack that we're using to develop Gen AI. What are the tools that we're kind of coming together to use in unison, and those don't exist yet. So there's a ton of tools, there's a ton of talk, ton of different ways to do things, but because we're at the beginning, there's so few true experts. There are definitely experts. Follow them, learn from them, but also don't feel like the bar is too high. The bar is pretty low right now for you to be super proficient at AI. So just jump in, don't be scared of it, get in there and become your own expert. And remember that things are going to inevitably change as the stacks start to get developed, as more things sort of come and go in terms of different companies and different toolings. Knowing the baseline of all that, knowing sort of what makes it all up is going to be helpful. So you can just, honestly switch tools if you need to. So that's my 2 cents to add there is don't be scared, jump in, just start using it. That being said, why is AI literacy becoming a must-have skill for pre-sales professionals? And what are the misconceptions about AI and pre-sales today? Mahir, I'm going to start with you this time, so throw it over to you.
Absolutely. If you're trying to get a job in tech right now in pre-sales, I mean, look at the job descriptions. There's not a job description out there that is not requiring AI experience. It's not about if you should use it or you shouldn't use it. If you're not using it, you're behind. The AEs and the SEs that I'm interacting with on a daily basis at ServiceNow, they're constantly using AI, whether it's internal AI, external AI, in their personal life. We're all using AI. So if you're not using AI, I already think you're kind of behind. So that's one thing. The other thing I would say is, sometimes we say that using AI is cheating. It's not the case anymore. You have to be using. Another excuse that I hear a lot of times is, hallucinations. You can't trust it. You can't. Well, if you look at the tools that we have currently today, I'll just pick on ChatGPT. You have a search feature for current internet searches. So when you are getting responses back from chat, it's giving you documentation, it's giving you sources, it's giving you all kinds of stuff. So no matter what it gives you, you can go and you can check, what it's giving you just to make sure. You should do your due diligence. You shouldn't check, even if someone else, a human being, is telling you something, you should go do your homework. One thing that I will say, prompting has become something that we focus a lot on. I want you to stop focusing so much on needing to get the exact prompt, and I want you to focus on this instead. Something called one-shot or multi-shot prompting. And basically get the question you're trying to ask your GPT and get it in there, but give it an example. And a one shot is an example of that is giving it one example. Multi-shot is giving it multiple examples. Zero shot is just throwing a prompt in there. So, but this can come in various ways. You can give it a picture. You can give it a cut and paste, example. You can give it a documentation. There's all kinds of different examples of multi-shotting your prompts, and that is going to increase the likelihood of getting a great answer from your GPTs.
I think those are great points, Mahir. Apologies. Kind of going to the back half of Darlene's question, I would say that the biggest misconception I hear from folks in pre-sales has to do with the outcomes of AIs. I've literally heard an SE say that because they don't code in their job, it's not helpful. Or I've heard them say, oh, it's just to write emails, and I can absolutely do that. There is so much value that we can receive in our daily jobs as pre-sales professionals from leveraging AI. Yes, it can help you code, and it can make even people that don't know how to code able to produce solutions. And it can absolutely write emails. And frankly, I will not send an email to my CRO that I haven't floated past, my chosen AI tool to make sure that I've got spelling, grammar, sentence structure sorted out and everything's clear. But like, for example, Perplexity, which was just mentioned a couple minutes ago, has completely stopped my relationship with Google. I never go to Google anymore to search. I use Perplexity. I don't work for Perplexity. I'm not plugging it like that, but because it does such a good job of gathering information and enabling us to do customer research, so much quicker. I mean, I'm old enough and I've been around long enough. I used to, get printed 10Ks in the mail, and we would physically share them out amongst each other so we could learn about our customers. And Perplexity can gather that information, annotate it, and give you recommendations in like 30 seconds. But so just to close out here, my thoughts, it's finding those tools that can improve and make us more productive in every facet of our jobs.
I love that, Paul. My take on this is let's define our role. What is one of the biggest misconceptions about AI in pre-sales is that it's going to take your job. Well, if you look at the purpose of our role, our purpose is to build connections and revenue and sales and be that bridge between sales and product. That is not what AI is doing today. AI is not doing any of that today. So my biggest, and I'll stand on the hill and just say that like the AI helps you be a great builder of relationships, helps you solve business problems using technology. So that's what I'm using AI for. Now, one thing I'm looking for people, and I manage a solutions team, right? How do we use AI is in efficiency. You're simply doing more with less across the board in solutions, across the board in enterprise companies, small companies. So let's leverage AI to be more efficient in our time, use the tools to speed up the boring work. There's a lot of tools on RFPs. There's a lot of tools on demos. There's a lot of tools to help our data. Use those tools to speed up the work you don't want to do so that you can focus on the human work.
I love that, and I echo that. And I would say I was going to try to pull some things out of the chat, but as Courtney and Jack mentioned, it's moving too fast. By the time I go to pull a comment out of the chat, it's already long gone. But I appreciate all the engagement, everyone. It's been great to see all the comments coming through in the chat. I think we're all in agreement that AI is definitely here to stay, and we're all using it. Which brings me to the next question, which I think we're all thinking, but nobody really wants to say out loud, but we're going to say it anyway. I actually think I know where we're all standing on this position, which is AI going to replace the SE? And if not, which I assume is the answer, which parts are you seeing development in? We sort of covered that already, but I'd love to dive a little bit deeper in there. And Chris, maybe you can start us off with that topic.
Yeah, AI is not replacing the best profession in the entire world, period. It's going to make our daily jobs easier. But let's look at the software landscape. If anything, AI, integration, large amounts of data and complexity, they're all core to how software is built today. And yet that's the stuff that's really hard to demo, right? So if you're demoing a software platform right now that's using AI and integrations, and it's getting complicated and it's tying into this huge global network, guess what? Your job just got a lot more important. What is really cool though, and what is not changing, what I would say is what is not the status quo anymore is logging into your demo environment in the morning and finding it completely broken. Managing RFPs on a spreadsheet, using data like back in the day. I used to make my characters, my demo environment, like superhero characters. That's no longer part of the job either. So we can tell way better stories using AI because the data is more relevant and the environments are more stable.
I love that. Maher, tell me your thoughts.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. You know, I'm seeing a lot of AI development in different aspects of what an SE does, for sure. Like, I'll give you a couple examples. Info gathering about a company, maybe building a strategy of how to approach, getting some custom, you know, disco questions when you're meeting, you know, to make sure you're covering everything. But because the SE role is so versatile, it's hard for an AI right now to put it all together. And personally, I believe being an SE is an art. I think we color outside the lines. We live in the gray, and there's a lot asked of us. And so, because we're so versatile and we're able to wear multiple hats and jump into so many different conversations, how do you get an AI to really duplicate that? You can't. You know, it's very difficult. Will that happen in the future? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how long it'll take. I don't know what that looks like. But some of the things I am seeing, for example, with the SDR position, you know, there are some companies out there that will build you a custom SDR that will help you with level 0 lead generation. They're not that great, but people are building them. You know, people are taking these steps to build these things. I mean, it's not small companies. You know, Adobe themselves have an agent orchestrator. They are trying to like streamline the marketing process, and they include some lead generation in that. You know, another company, Oxia, is one of the companies that's building these SDR agents. But it's a level 0 kind of SDR. It's, you know, it's not really that great at what it does. These things are going to get better for sure, but right now they're not that great. One thing I do want you to check out is something called Sesame AI. If you want to see one of the best conversational AIs right now, it's a project right now, but you can try the demo. They have the capacity for anyone to try it. And there's 2 characters, Maya and Miles. And the quickness of the response is amazing, and the natural language that these AIs are playing with, I haven't seen it anywhere else. So sesame.ai, check that out. You are going to be impressed, and ask it about any topic.
I love that. That's fantastic. Paul, thoughts from you?
Yeah, and I think Maher made the point that I'd like to stress to everybody, because I don't think AI is replacing SEs, and I don't think that's happening anytime soon. But if I could be a little bit divisive here, I think there's a time in the not too distant future where we're going to be broken out into the cans and can nots. And I don't want to get everybody worried or scared or anything, but these tools are just too powerful of a productivity enhancer. You know, whether with my example a couple of minutes ago about taking hours of customer research down to seconds, or, you know, SDR being magnified by 10x. In Maher's example, you going to have to be able to leverage AI successfully to be effective SEs in the future. Now, the good news is, at least for now, they're pretty easy to pick up. The bar is relatively low, and there's a lot of free available information on how to become somebody that can use AI effectively in their roles. But that might not be the case in the future. What do you think, Darlene?
I agree. I think, you know, there's nothing that really replaces that human relationship in our role. I think, you know, you could tell me with a bunch of different evidence-based points that it's going to AI, it's going to be replaced. But the reality is, I just can't envision, after doing this for 25 years, that someone's going to spend multiple millions of dollars on a software solution without talking to people who are technical and can tell them what to do and how to make it work well for them. I just don't think AI can replace that. I think there's still that human connection. There's still that concept of a trusted advisor, an actual person, human being who can help guide a solution into implementation. And that is something that we will certainly get help from AI. We will certainly use use it to make our jobs more effective. But it will not replace that part of it, that trusted advisor status that we achieve, that we're able to use in the process. I think it's definitely a tool. It should be used to make us much, much better and not replace us. So that's my 2 cents on all of it. We've sort of already started broaching the topic. I love how we're just naturally going from question to question, which makes my job super easy. So thank you guys. which are, what are the most impactful AI-driven tools that are currently being used? I know, Maher, you already kind of mentioned some things, but how do they change the way specifically that we're interacting with buyers? So I'd love to hear some real-world examples. Maher, I'm going to start with you this time because I know you kind of already started talking about that.
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, we've all heard the analogy of being an SC is like being a duck. You know, you're on that water, that lake, and you're you know, just floating along, you know, really calm, but underneath you're pedaling like really, you know, really fast. And that's me on a call. And that's the expectation today with the tools that we have. For example, if a customer is asking you questions and you're constantly parking parking that question, hey, you know, let me get back to you, let me get back to you. They're gonna get frustrated. They're gonna, lose trust, not think that you know what you're doing as much. And now it's okay. Not everyone knows everything about every platform. That's just comes with the job, you know, for sure. But what I'm saying is with AI, I have to do that less and less and less. And the way I do that is before I start a call, whether it's a disco, whether it's an intro, or I'm on a demo, I have my AI tools all around me and I'm ready to use them, you know, in depending on what is being asked, whether an integration is being asked, if I can integrate something with a platform. And so what I have gone ahead and done, you know, at ServiceNow, we're building AI agents. And what they've given us is the ability to build our own AI agents. So they've given us tools to work with, but also I went ahead and built my own AI agent that basically helps me. I can ask it any question about the platform in that moment, or an integration. If someone said, hey, does, you know, Zoom integrate natively with, you know, bidirectionally with your platform? And I'm able to, you know, if I have to check it on the spot, I'm able to give them an answer in 10 seconds. You know what I mean? Buy myself some time. So the SCs and the AEs that are around me are all using these tools, and you have to do it. Now, I'll give you an example of one thing you can do. ChatGPT, right? You can create your own bots. You can create your own folder. And when you do that, whatever you load into that, whatever you ask it about a topic, you can say, whenever I ask you about this topic, I want you to refer to the documentation that I have given you. And it doesn't matter how much documentation you give it. It is able to sift through it and able to reference it afterwards. So I would encourage you guys to use that in what you're doing today.
Absolutely. Paul.
Yeah, I'll give my 2 cents. I mean, I've already mentioned my love of Perplexity and how it's impacting, our ability to do customer research quickly and efficiently. Gong, for those that have ever played with it, and it's got a couple of competitors, leveraging AI to review meeting recordings and make recommendations is absolutely fantastic. I frequently use Claude as a coding partner and a writing partner. There's a lot of tools that are out there. I think there's another set of applications and like Gemini that Google has, which are experts on their systems and can be incredibly beneficial if you're in the Google Firebase world in helping you do configurations and sort out specific challenges within those environments.
Fantastic. Chris.
Yeah. So I'm going to take it back to the buyer's perspective. So we're all buyers. Buying is really hard. Buying software, buying anything in the world, buying a pair of shoes is difficult. So how do we use AI to make it easier for our buyers to make a decision and solve their problem? I used to run Presales Collective. I know a lot about the pre-sales AI-driven tools, and I wish I could name them all because there's just some wonderful people building tools out there. But I'll use an example I just worked through myself at Reprise, which was I spoke with an enterprise-sized org who had a team of 50 demo engineers. Okay, 50 people to build their demo environments. And when I asked them what they spend a lot of their time on, they said they spend a lot of time cloning their environments to put new data in there so that it's relevant to that prospect. And they do it all day long. So like every deal they do, they're just building a new demo environment. They're putting a new logo on there and they're shipping it out to the account executive. And I asked them, I said, what would you do if you didn't have to do that? What if you could inject that data using AI? What if you could give the sellers the ability to change their data and their environment? And you know what they said to me? They said, we would get back to being creative because we want to tell stories. And that just blew my mind. I was like, oh, this is actually a tool for to get you back to being a creative storyteller. And so that has stuck with me because the ability for us to inject data and tell relevant stories helps our buyer see themselves in software and see themselves in your product. And honestly, I think that's like the best use case I've heard of.
I love that. I'll sort of recap all these with my favorite, which we've already mentioned, but I've seen it in the chat mentioned a few times, which is Gong. One of the things that we've done at Firebolt with Gong is Gong insights and summaries are, of course, it's an easy way to catch up on a call that I wasn't able to attend, or that I'd like to understand where we're at in a sales cycle. But it used to be you could listen to the recording, you could listen to it in 2x, and you could make comments, and that was fantastic. But now with Gong Insights and some of the other things, that now becomes things that I can send over to my engineering team and the product team so that they can be, the customer insights can be put into a roadmap. It means we can have, oh, look, people are getting this wrong a lot. Like, let's do we have an enablement opportunity in front of us. It's a great way to populate frequently asked questions for new employees as they're onboarding. So it definitely helps drive our onboarding and enablement schedules across the board. And then also RFP questions. It used to be that you would have to populate your RFP questions. You'd sit there with the spreadsheet and you'd type them all in. Then we got to where we started had databases of questions. AI now managing that database of questions and creating the questions and the answers, feeding it with Gong insights, but also with previous RFPs, has made that pretty magical for us. So much better from all of those. So I'd say Gong for me has been definitely a game changer. It's been amazing. But I'll also say, Maher, I do the same thing. Like, we're at a point now in our SE lives where you cannot know everything. It is impossible. So somebody, a customer, a prospect that you were trying to build, a trusted advisor relationship with, you're not going to know all the things. And to be fair, that expectation is not there that you need to know all the things. But it is helpful when you could just type in, like Maher's example of the duck, where you can just type it in real quick into a sidebar screen, get a quick understanding. So at least we're on the same page and we can have a conversation. I'm probably still going to say I'm not super familiar with that, but let me talk about this part of it and we'll come back to it. But at least I'm not left in a situation where I have to just sort of dismiss a question completely. I've got some information that is in front of me to help me guide the conversation. So there's some really amazing tools out there that we can use to do this. All that being said, I would love to hear what are the biggest limitations in AI and pre-sales. So we talked about all the amazing things. What are some of the things that we're seeing that maybe aren't as good and definitely limiting us at this point? So Chris, I'm going to kick it to you first.
Yeah, I'm going to use a term my good friend Ron Whitson says, which is, there's B2B and B2C. He calls it H2H, which is human to human sales. And, to your point, Maher, there's a lot of like AI SDR tools and AI go-to-market tools, that first interaction. My trick now is with the rise of all of that, I'm just undercutting because I think that humans are hunting for even more meaningful interactions than ever. So I'm actually just undercutting the AI tools and making much more personalized, valuable relationships. I'm making fewer of them, and it's harder to do. But I think that doubling down on that has really helped us tell our story. And so I think from a limit perspective, it's like the human side, I'm just going all in on it.
Fantastic. Paul, tell me your thoughts.
Yeah, I think the thing that we all need to keep in mind when we're leveraging AI is the legal compliance side of things. Now, I know, terms of service are long and most people don't read them, but for so many of these AI products that are available for free, anything you put into that product, they are harvesting and they're able to use it themselves. So we've got to keep in mind, as we're leveraging some of these, are we sharing company private information? Are we sharing customer private information? Are we sharing PII, or anything that we put in there? Because if we don't have an existing legal relationship with this organization, they can do with it whatever they want. And so working with our compliance teams in the organization, I know that's super boring. We're engineers, we want to go fast, but working with our compliance and legal teams to make sure that as we're bringing and leveraging these tools within our organization, that we as a company are protected and our customers are protected with this information. That's why, authors are suing ChatGPT, for millions and millions of dollars and whatnot, because they're afraid that their works were used in training the model. We want to make sure that we're using these solutions. Our customers' data is not inadvertently being used to train these models. So just be cautious about that and work with your legal team. What do you think, Mahir?
Yeah, no, I love that and absolutely agree with that. I think for us here at ServiceNow, it's something that we have to, make sure everything is protected. And that's why we brought everything inside our AI tools. We can't give that information out to these other companies. But one thing, I will say about this is, what's one of the worst things if you're given a demo, you're an SE, you're given a demo. I think one of the worst things for me is having a client looking at their phone and not paying attention to a single thing I'm saying. Now, when someone is doing that, I stop. And I know I need to pivot. I need to, I need to do something else. And an AI can't do that. An AI can't read that human emotion. They can't see that smile. They can't see, wow, their eyebrows went up when I said that, or when they saw this piece, or when I asked that question. And that's why I call it an art. That's why I love the role of an SC, because again, as Chris said, it's that H to H connection. And that it's one of my favorite things of the role. And I don't know when AI is gonna be able to do that. We've all seen the movie Her, but but I hope it never gets there, to be honest, because I don't ever want to lose that connection with others that I'm working with.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think there's been a lot of chatter in the chat here about both privacy and about human relationships. I think we're all thinking the same things in terms of what potentially are some challenges with AI. I saw one mention of RAG in here in terms of a solution to sort of privacy issues, and I couldn't agree more. I've gone down the path of really exploring RAG and fine-tuning versus using RAG versus other different types of ways to get data and get what you need out of AI. So I definitely encourage everybody to sort of understand some of the things that are happening from a technical perspective to mitigate some of the privacy challenges. Using some additional tooling has been super helpful for me, at least. Personally, I try to be very mindful of making sure we're not putting any personal information into AIs myself, but I don't think that that's a long-term solution. It can't just be that our people are, being mindful, because someone's going to either A, make a mistake, or B, going to just not care as much as maybe as we do and mess it up. And so I think we're definitely at the early days of the limitations and the privacy concerns and the people concerns, but I think we're on a path to figuring it all out eventually. I'm going to transition just a little bit to, we've got a great group of pre-sales folks and leaders, particularly. I'd love to hear how AI has changed your lives as a leader. How has it changed your organization as a whole? So Chris, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, I love this one. You kind of have to step back and ask yourself the question, what does a leader do? And what is a leader for? Before the summit, I picked up the phone and called one of my team members and just asked them how their day was going, right? Being a leader, I think, creates, you have to be curious. You have to create a vision. You have to drive towards that vision. You have to foster that positive work. You have to give critical feedback, even if it's hard to do sometimes. You have to be nice. Being clear is nice, right? Managing, when I separate that leadership and managing a team, I think it's helped me tremendously with data, right? It's just helped me get a lot of data up to my board and make better decisions on our performance, and help me steer the organization to say, okay, it looks like this performance is working. It looks like this one isn't. Let's spend less time on the one that isn't.
Fantastic. Mahir?
Yeah, I think being a leader is having clear expectations and realistic expectations. And I think, with the platforms that are out there, these platforms are massive. These platforms are constantly changing. And for a platform like ServiceNow, with 300, 400 different products that we're working with, if you get granular here, how can you expect an SC to know it all? And I think knowing where we are today and knowing the platforms that we're using, one of the greatest things that we can have an expectation of is some critical thinking. Instead of expecting RSCs to know everything, because it's not realistic. We're setting them up to fail in that way. So one of my favorite things about AI is coming alongside AEs and SCs and saying, you know what? Expectation on you right now is not realistic, but with these tools, it can be. You don't have to know all the answers, but it's good to know where to find the answers. So I think that's been great to kind of help in that way as a leader. At the same time, this is going to change really fast. And to keep up with it, I think we need people that are willing to go ahead and take the blows that come with this in order that the rest of the team is protected. So I think there's a lot of missteps that I've done, and in a sense of trying something and trying a tool and relying on something and just making mistakes. And so I think part of being a leader is taking the hits for the team. So yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks, Mahir. I would say from my perspective, I like to call, generally speaking, the AI tools sort of my ability to ask stupid questions. As a pre-sales leader myself, I have much less time to devote to learning and keeping my own technical skills relevant. But I so desperately want to. And so it has given me the ability to do that in a much easier fashion. And so, I know we say no stupid questions, but there are stupid questions. And I feel like I don't want to undermine myself as a leader by asking stupid questions. And so I definitely use this to help give me a baseline so that I can ask a more intelligent question to actual human beings. So that's my 2 cents there for how this has impacted me as a leader personally. We're coming up on time already. This has gone by so fast. So I'm going to close us out with one final question, and then we'll open up for Q&A. And that is, I'm going to ask for all of you, what is one AI trend in pre-sales that excites you the most? And how do you see it shaping our future? And Paul, I'm going to start with you this time.
Okay, thank you, Darlene. I love this question. I don't know about the other 500 people on this call, but what originally drew me to pre-sales was focusing on my customers and my people and having those human interactions and leveraging my ability to learn and talk about technology to make their lives better. And the trend in AI that I love the most, that makes me most excited, is it's able to take a lot of that grunt work out of our roles, so I can focus on just doing the part of our role as pre-sales professionals that brings me the most personal value. Like I said, it takes the research out. It can automate your demos. It can automate your coding. It can help make writing emails so much quicker. All that grunt work that we've always had to do, that's necessary for us to be successful in our job. It's able to streamline that and make it 5% as much time as it used to. And that's just awesome. As a pre-sales leader, it allows me to focus more on my team members, helping them be successful, taking care of their roadblocks. It helps me be more effective for my customers. All those fun interactions that I love.
Fantastic.
What do you think, Chris?
Man, I'm piggybacking right off of what you said, Paul, because I love pre-sales, and that should go without being said, right? I love that moment when everything else is done and you're connecting. And you're telling that story, you're solving the business problem. Let's spend less time messing with our demo environments. Let's spend less time with our data. Let's spend less time prepping for calls. I don't know about you. We're back to back all the time. We're all doing more with less. There's barely a break sometimes in between your demos. So be prepared for a demo. When it feels like when you go to a demo and you're prepared, it feels awesome, right? You're like, I'm going to knock this out of the park. The script is ready. I know these people I'm talking to. That's what I'm excited about.
I love it. Maher?
Yeah, so I think the misconception is the more AI, the more technology, the more disconnected we are from people and our clients and the customers that we work with. And that can be very much true. But I think of it in the other way, because when I look at a customer, I only have so much capacity during a day, but I'm expected to be connecting with, these 10 customers, these 10 clients or potential clients. So if I can use AI to help me gather, the most essential information about a client or a customer that I'm working with, the trust begins to exponentially grow. Like what we know about them, their pain points, their goals. It just becomes a lot clearer with these tools, because I don't have to use all of my strength. I call it the difference between addition and multiplication. Addition is only what I can do with my own two hands at one time, and multiplication is being able to maximize my time and multiple things doing what I needed to do at the same time. And so when we do that, think about what follow-up looks like with these customers. Think about when you're building a tailored a tailored solution or tailored demo or blueprint for a company that is looking at multiple products and what that looks like. A lot of us, with our products, we look at, people are saying, hey, can you do a POC for me, a proof of concept? And we know how much work that takes. We have to take their particular data, input it into an instance. And I know this could look at various forms. I'm talking about my context. It's very time consuming to do all of that. But if now you're using AI to do that, and it begins to give you the key points that you need to focus on, imagine how cared for a customer feels and how specific and tailored that solution that you are giving them applies to their daily context. I think that's invaluable to be able to use AI in that way to bring us closer to what our customers are looking for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks, all three of you. I will say like plus 100 to all of those things that you said, because I absolutely agree with all of them. The thing that I will add, and I think it's interesting how this conversation sort of ended up in this place, I feel like a lot of our AI examples of how we're using it now tended to focus on the writing aspect or the communication aspect or the human aspect of things. And actually, one of the things that I'm most excited about is Copilot development, because quite frankly, I did not go in. I have a computer science degree, but did not go down the path of becoming an actual developer. I realized very quickly that I am in the best profession in the world, and I don't want to do that part of it. But there are very many times in which I want to be able to code something, and this actually opens up that door for me to be able to do it. If you were relying on me to build some code from scratch and build up a solution, then we are in trouble, because that is never happening. But it feels more accessible now than it ever did in the past. So being able to build a quick prototype of something that I'm thinking of that would be helpful, super helpful. Be able to work with my team and have them use some of the co-piloting solutions have been really amazing. And so I think this to me is really, really exciting. I think it actually changes the way a lot of things get built and get engineered. And so to me, that's one of the more exciting parts of AI that I'm excited to see what happens next. So that being said, I'm gonna go through some questions that we have here. There are a lot of questions, so apologies in advance. We will not be able to get to all of them. We've got 20 plus questions in here that we're definitely not going to be able to get to in the next 9 minutes. But I'm going to talk about a couple. And so throw it out to all three of you. Just feel free to answer it, whoever wants to take it. And the first one is a little bit tactical, but I like it, because I think as we get people out to the next steps in getting to have some call to actions for after this session's over, I'd love to have your opinions, which is, when you build your own bots or AI agents, are you doing this on your own personal tenants or your devices, or are you using your company devices and things? And how are we managing that between company versus personal? I'd love to hear from the three of you what you're all doing.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. So we've had a big push on AI agents. And so our platform comes with out of the box agents, but we've been encouraged to go and build our own. You know, they've given us a framework to do that and to be able to work in the platform. At the same time, you know, I have a buddy of mine who runs an AI startup where he's built over 100 agents and he categorizes them and does different things. And, you know, for my own personal life, sometimes I use one of those that I've helped build or things like that. But you can even go as far as, I mean, you don't have to sit there and code your own AI agent. You know, the entry point is a lot easier than that. You know, if again, you know, you have to fork out some money, like ChatGPT. I know I keep saying ChatGPT, but you know, you're able to build little bots and train them on data and train them on, you know, you can tell them like, you know, I want you to think in these ways whenever I ask you a question. You don't have to keep prompting it to do that. So you can start all the way there, and you can go all the way to where your company might be, you know, building its own agents and having you build your own. So it's a spectrum that you can jump into, but it's there's a place for everyone to kind of jump in.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a little bit of a, church and state view on this topic because, and maybe it's because my partner works in legal and contract negotiations, but I work very hard to separate what I'm doing and developing in my personal life from what I'm doing in my business life because of the potential ramifications associated with it. So when I'm leveraging AI, for developing agents or writing emails or helping code, I tend to try and work with my legal and compliance teams to make sure that the tools we're using are good, the environment is approved for all the right reasons and whatnot, just to protect myself, protect my personal work, and protect my organization. Maybe I'm a little bit more conservative than most, but that's my perspective on things. Do you have thoughts, Chris? Because I know you lead a pretty sizable team too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really selective when I do anything in my personal life. You know, like I have hobbies and bicycles and cars and things like. My brother and I are building something really fun, and it's creative. I don't touch any of that on my work stuff. So I'm hyper aware of where I use my creative outlets. But internally, yeah, we're building AI and we have AI in our product, and we do all of it just in our own networks.
I'll answer it in this way. I've done both. I tend to make sure I'm paying attention to our security team's suggestions on approved LLMs, approved tooling, approved like I want to make sure we're following. I'm a rule follower by nature, so make sure I'm following the rules. But I would say that even when using other tools for seemingly professional reasons, I am very cognizant. So one of the examples that I like to use is I sit in a lot of interviews. I take a lot of notes during interviews. I have to constantly be evaluating things. One of the things that I find problematic is I've just taken all these notes. Now I have to summarize them and put them into a pros and cons for a scorecard. That to me is particularly painful. It's just a random little example. I'll feed that in to an AI tool to get my pros and cons list for my notes. I am making sure there's no names in there. I'm making sure there's no information in there that could be that I'm feeding into an AI that could potentially take that and train with it. That is, again, I think that's me being also conservative about it. I think that's probably not a long-term solution because people are going to mess up and or not be as diligent. But I do think when I am using it for company purposes, I'm very careful and I'm making sure following the rules versus doing things on my own where I may relax those a little bit, if that makes sense. But thank you, everyone. I think we got time for probably one or two more questions. So I'd love to turn it over to the three of you for this question, which is, how are you talking about AI to your customers? I'd love to hear sort of what that looks like. The rest of the question is, so many times I see customers excited and afraid that it yields misinformation and bad decisions. So what they buy with technology on AI is very short-sighted. But I'd love to hear how you all are having that conversation with your customers.
Yeah, I'll kick. Oh, you go for it, Chris.
Well, first and foremost, Darlene, you've done an awesome job hosting, so thank you so much. Before we run out of time, I recommend if you're all sitting on this webinar, please do yourself a favor. Do not sleep on your investment. You've spent time learning. Take a screenshot. share it on LinkedIn, share with the world that you're learning about AI. This is also one of those moments we haven't talked about that helps you build your brand internally as an AI expert. Okay. So always be doing that. To answer your question, Darlene, we're thrilled to talk about AI because we use it to tell better stories, and we're a demo company. Okay, so we're like super transparent about what we do, and we have incredible use cases. And when we do demos, they're hyper relevant. And sometimes somebody says, well, they'll make a comment on it. We'll say, yeah, we use AI to do this, and you can too. So for me, it's easy.
Fantastic. Paul, Maher, either from you two.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I think there's been a trend in the industry of just adding AI to anything. And, it's kind of like, there's a term here, lipstick on a pig. And a lot of people are using the term AI to put lipstick on their pig, right? It's still the pig ultimately, regardless of what you put on it. And so when I talk to customers about AI, I really focus in on the value that they receive from our solutions, from other solutions, and the impact it could absolutely have. Because I've run into situations with competitors that are claiming AI this and AI that, and you dig into it, and it's just the same old product. And I think a lot of people are starting to get hesitant around the actual value that they get from a lot of these AI products.
Yeah, I think for me, when I talk to customers about AI, and I'm having that conversation constantly, probably after every call, because either they're asking about it or I'm sharing about it. One of the first things that comes up is privacy and security and what can be done about that. And so one of the things we've done is made it as simple as a checkbox. And if your instance of the platform, if you don't want any of that to be used by AI, you can just check that and none of it will be used. The other thing that we're sharing with people is PPI. This is a list of PPI that is being scrubbed completely from anything if you are letting AI use this information. So we want to be super clear about that because I mean we have all kinds of clients, financial sectors, DoD. I mean, you name it, it needs to be secure. There's no playing around here. So that's one thing. The other one is finding an entry point into this. And what I'll do here is I'll compare the two different AIs that I'm seeing right now is bolt-on AI and enterprise AI. And when a bolt-on AI, you'll go to a company and they've designed their own specific AI, and you'll just attach it to the tools that you're using to help you accelerate your daily life. But when you're dealing with a platform, it's a lot more complicated. For example, in order to run AI in a ServiceNow instance, you need to have flows and subflows and rags and skills and scripting and all of that in there, but it's already built in. You don't have to unless you want to, but it has to run throughout the entire platform, and that makes it difficult. So one of the things that we have is like, hey, we have an AI starter pack. You can jump, you can have 25 licenses to just try it out and have your people jump in, attach it, have it run through your platform and see if this is something that you like. So I think it's a different conversation when you're talking about external versus internal.
Fantastic. Thanks, Maher. Real quickly, Courtney, I know you jumped on to turn us over, but I want to just close this off because fun fact, I actually ran our session notes through Perplexity to give us our 3 calls of action for today because I thought it would be very appropriate for this session. And so number 1, embrace AI literacy as a critical skill. If you haven't already, start experimenting with AI tools immediately. AI literacy is becoming essential in the job market. Number 2 is to leverage AI to enhance the SE. Identify specific areas in your workflow where AI can increase efficiency and share those with your teams. And then the third one is human skills plus AI proficiency, which is AI is powerful, but human relationships and critical thinking remain crucial. Work to develop a balanced skill set that combines AI with strong interpersonal and strategic abilities. And I think that's a great summary of what we talked about today. And I'm going to turn it back over to Courtney for the next ones. Thank you all.
Well, okay, session 1, way to kick us off with a bang. What a great session that was. Share some love with them in the chat. That was such a fantastic way to start the day. Darlene, you were a fantastic host, and all of our panelists, thank you so much.